Hi guys, this is I'm Stark, and today we are looking at World War One and the arms race and the naval race. So first of all, we're going to look at the naval race. Now, if you've watched my Kaiser Wilhelm's II video, you'll know that Kaiser Wilhelm wanted a very large army, and we already know that Britain had the largest navy in the world. They were a very strong navy. It was their main thing. They didn't have loads of soldiers, but they had a very strong navy, and they wanted to be triple standard, which meant that they wanted to have a navy bigger than the next three navies combined. So that was obviously massive. But we need to know a big part of the naval arms race was the launch of the Dreadnought. And this is where both, the Dreadnought literally means fears nothing or fearless. Now, the Germans called them 5-Minuten ships, and that was because they were estimated that it would, another ship would only last 5 minutes if faced by a Dreadnought. So Britain's supremacy at sea had been based on the older type of battleship. So when the Dreadnought was released, this was a chance for Germany. So now both of the countries wanted to use these Dreadnoughts to build up their army. So in 1906, this was when the Dreadnoughts was released by Admiral Fisher. Britain made 1 Dreadnought and Germany made 0. Then in 1907, Britain made 3 Dreadnoughts and Germany made 0. So obviously Britain start with this supremacy at sea, and they make more. However, in 1908, Germany actually make 2 more than Britain, because Britain make 2 and Germany make 4. Then Germany make 1 more than Britain in 1909, Germany make 3, Britain make 2. So this is a bit of a worry for Britain, because they're starting to be challenged at sea. So then in 1910, however, Britain come back and they make 3 and Germany make 1. Britain then make 5 in 1911, Germany make 3. And this pattern continues until at the end, Britain have made 29 Dreadnoughts compared to Germany's 17. So Britain still have this supremacy at sea. But the problem is the naval race does do a lot of damage. Now, they would believe that the only reason that Germany was increasing its fleet was because it wanted to dominate Britain and Europe. And this was the reason why they were spending all this money. Now, although Britain were actually allies with Germany, they started to see Germany as a threat. And this meant that basically it was more likely that Britain was going to fight against Germany, and the naval rivalry basically made World War One a more likely possibility. Now, because Britain was becoming worried by the size of the German naval fleet, they also made an agreement with France called the Entente Cordiale, if you watch my alliances video. And basically this meant that they started to become involved in European affairs, and as well the Entente Cordiale was one of the reasons, the alliance system was one of the main reasons that World War One actually started. But now we're going to start talking about the arms race, which is very different, and because obviously naval races at sea, arms races on the land. And by 1907, as I've talked about in my alliance video, then Europe had been divided into 2 arms camps. And this was called the Triple Alliance, which consisted of Austria-Hungary, Germany and Italy, even though they weren't too fond of it. And then the Triple Entente. And the Triple Entente was France, Russia and Britain. So all the alliances were defensive, but they were all secret, so this was not known. So all countries were feared that each alliance was directly against them. So Germany felt that the Entente Cordiale were trying to encircle them, whereas France and Russia felt that Germany were trying to expand its territory towards them. So this caused the fears, and this is why each of the army built, each of the camps started to try and build up their armies. So if we look at the size of armies in Europe in 1900, 1910 and then 1914 when the war starts, we can see improvements in most of the countries and how they tried to build up. So France, for example, in 1900, they had 0.7 million people. They then built this up to 1 million people, which is obviously quite a few. Now, Russia, however, they did have the largest army, but they weren't necessarily the best army. The training wasn't the best, and this meant that they weren't as successful as fighting. But in 1900, they had 1.1 million. But after the fact that they were defeated at Bosnia by Germany quite easily, they did try and build up their army and ended up becoming a major superpower. Until they had 1.5 million in 1914. However, Germany were the strongest of armies, they were led the best, and they did have the strongest army, and they had 0.5 million people in 1900, and then 0.8 in 1914. Now, Britain did actually, they lost men, in fact, because that's the fact that they were trying to do their naval more than their arms. That's why the naval race, which I mentioned before, obviously, caused Britain to actually lose men, which is why in 1900 they had 0.5 million, and then in 1914 they only had 0.4 million. So all of this building up of arms created tensions between all of the countries, which was a main reason why World War I actually broke out, because of obviously the tensions are building up as other countries start to arm. So thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and you learned a lot from it. For now, can you please subscribe to my channel and visit my website, the link's below. Thank you and see you soon. Goodbye.